Hello, I'm Laura Knights, CEO of Knights Consulting, creator of BlackWomanLeading.com, and the host of Black Woman Leading, the podcast. This podcast amplifies the needs and experiences of Black women leaders in the workplace with a holistic focus on three core areas: leadership development, mental wellness, and relationship management. Our ultimate aim is to help Black women learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity. Before we jump into this next podcast episode, I wanted to invite you to the 2025 Black Woman Leading Live Conference and Retreat, taking place May 27th through the 30th, 2025 in Virginia Beach. Now, if you haven't heard, Black Woman Leading Live is the premier leadership development conference to help Black women professionals learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity. Imagine a community of Black women leaders from across the country supporting you as you clarify your career growth strategy, work on refining your leadership skills, and make a plan to tend to your mental health and self-care. Yes, we do all of that at this transformational, professional, and personal development experience designed by Black women for Black women. Now, activities will include workshops, panels, wellness breaks, laser coaching, networking, action planning, and some fun community events. And at the 2025 event, in addition to our overall focus on your career development and holistic wellness, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the critical leadership competency of strategic communication. Every effective leader has gained some mastery of strategic communication, and we want to help you to do the same. So yes, we're going to get into all of this. And sis, you need to be there. Get all the details and save your seat at www.bwlretreat.com. All right. Welcome, everyone. So every season, I have to bring on some of our true, real BWLs and have an alumni panel. And it's always one of my favorite episodes. And today, we are talking about leaning into community with some of our illustrious Black Women Leading alums. We have Jada Hamm, who is representing the early career cohort. We have Lekeshia Hicks, who is one of our mid-career alums, and Shaneka Stanley, another one of our mid-career alums. So, ladies, welcome to the Black Women Leading Podcast. We are so happy you are here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Awesome. So everyone's official bios are in our show notes, so you can read a little bit more about them and see how to connect with them. But I'm going to do a round and allow everyone just to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into this episode. So let's just go Jada, Shaneka, and then Lekeshia.
Awesome. Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me on this podcast, Laura. My name is Jada Hamm. I'm primarily based in Philadelphia. I have a few hands in a few cookie jars, but primarily I'm an HR professional. I have about 6 years of experience currently, and yes.
Happy you're here. All right, Shaneka.
All right. Thank you again, Laura, for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Shaneka Stanley. I am based out of Chicago, Illinois. I am a senior HR consultant. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a sorority member of Delta Sigma Theta. I am a proud historically Black college alum, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. And I'm soon to be a wellness and OD coach. And I have Black Women Leading to thank for that. So I'll tell y'all more about that in the podcast. But Thank you so much again, Laura, for inviting me.
Look, that's even news to me. I'm like, spill the tea, honey. Okay, we coming back to that.
Coach Summer knows about it.
Okay, Lekeshia.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I am Lekeshia Hicks. I'm in a little city outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a diversity consultant, specifically in allyship through sponsorship and mentorship. And I am ecstatic to be here. Wife, mother, daughter, grandmother. My most acclaimed title is grandmother. I absolutely love being a grandmother, and so happy to be here again. Yes.
Awesome. So, okay, this topic is so timely, of course, for the season. And if you've been following us, if you've been listening and following us, you know this podcast is really an extension of our programs. And so our goal is really to support Black women throughout the life cycle of their career. We have our early career program. We have our mid-career program for mid and senior level leaders. We have some executive roundtables for Black women in executive roles. And in 2025, we're launching our college symposiums for our Black women who are just about to step into um, the professional world. So, one of the things that is really critical about our work in Black Women Leading is not only helping our participants really clarify their vision for their professional and their personal development and be able to put a strategic plan in place for that, but it's about creating a space, a safe space, a sanctuary space where they can do both what we call their heart work and their head work. And it's not always easy to lean into community, especially when you may have been used to doing things on your own, or community has maybe disappointed you sometimes. So I wanted to talk about this topic because we believe that community is actually a critical part of professional development, a critical ingredient. And who better to talk about that than our brilliant Black Women Leading alum? So we're going to dive into this topic a little bit more, let you hear about some of their experience and how they have been leaning into community. But first thing, this is a question we always ask everyone. And so love to hear this from you all in particular. What does the phrase Black woman leading mean to you? And can you share just a little bit more about your journey as a Black woman leading that's kind of led you up to here? Let's go to Lekeshia and then hear from Shaneka and then Jada.
Black woman leading to me means excellence. Of course, I'm a strong believer that Black women are the answer to everything. We have been the answer for everything. However, that comes with its challenges. And Black women leading for me gave me a space to lay those challenges down and to be able to get over them to really reach my full potential.
I love that. And Lekeshia is being so humble. I'll be on her about being humble. I'm gonna come back to her in a minute because she didn't write the book. She had already written the book, but she launched a whole book during her cohort, and I want her to tell us more about that in just a second. But Lekeshia, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that now? Because I do want to hear um, about your kind of journey as a Black woman leading into some of the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, so I always felt like I was the mentor for everybody and like I really want everybody to win, but I had nobody who wanted me to win, right? It was really difficult for me to find somebody that was ahead of me and really help me to make it. I was always stuck at I think I was great, right? I had achieved some really great things, but I felt like there was more that I could be doing and leaving an impact and all of those things is really important to me, but I couldn't find the people that could help me get there. And happenstance, bumping into people in the interwebs, Laura Knight appears and saves the day just like a night would do. And it just became everything just kind of melted away from me. And in the book, that's all of these things that are sitting in my head. I was able to say, why are you holding that? And why are you holding on to that? Let it go. I was able to get in a space where I was comfortable enough to not be afraid to succeed. And that's what it was. I was afraid of success. When we look at what's happening with Kamala Harris and how when you get there, it leads to being more targeted and balancing like, do I want to really be in that space? But having that community prepares you for whatever's going to come.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Shaneka, tell us about, and I'll just restate the question so you have it. What does the phrase Black woman leading mean to you? And share a little bit about your journey up to this point as a Black woman leading.
Okay, great question, Laura. So for me, to be a Black woman leading is really what I see every day at work, within my sorority, within my friend groups. I feel like I'm surrounded by Black women leading, right? Like, because that's what we do. We run the world, right? We hold leadership roles like within our organizations. We manage our households. We talked earlier about children, spouse, grandchildren. Like, we just lead within our community groups. And so that's what Black women leading means to me. Like, we we show up with our own flair and our own style. And it's always amazing when we can feel comfortable enough to show up in these spaces authentically, because
Yeah.
that's when everyone will receive the best of us, right? So I love it, when that can happen. And what led me here was really just looking for a leadership group specifically for Black people. I didn't know there was one for Black women, which was amazing when I found Laura. But as Lekeshia shared, like just searching on the interwebs, and I connected with Black Women Leading, and that connected me to the newsletter and said, hey, the cohort's closed. And I'm like, wait a minute, what cohort? And Laura remembers I was in her inbox. It was like a week left, and I'm like, nope, we're gonna do this. I need to figure this out. And it was the best decision ever. Like the connections I've made with so many people, and how you all have helped me to really think through what my next is has been invaluable. So I
Yeah.
thank you. I talk about you all the time, Laura, for real. I don't know
Oh.
if your ears are burning sometimes, and I'm like, let me tell you about Laura Nice. So yes,
I had
yes,
to tell our web person, Tiffany, I'm like, girl, you doing your thing on that SEO because our people are finding us on the
that's
Google,
right.
honey.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Jada, what does the phrase Black woman leader mean to you? And share a little bit about your journey.
Yes, of course. What Black woman leading means to me, empowerment, resilience, and the unique challenges and triumphs that come with being a Black woman in leadership. It's not easy being us in corporate and nonprofit and entrepreneurship. It's not easy leading,
Yeah.
whether you're a Black woman, whether you're a woman, whether you're anybody in the world. It's just something that kind of what you have to either be born with or something that you have to intentionally work on. It symbolizes breaking barriers, overcoming systematic obstacles, carving out space in environments where Black women have historically been underrepresented or marginalized. It also represents a commitment to lift up other Black women for me,
Yeah.
and just ensuring that younger Black women and other Black women just have the opportunity to lead and succeed in any space that they see themselves in. My journey in Black woman leading, well, just to start, I'm a type of person who wants to continue to strive, learn, and do different things, especially while I still have that fresh brain and mind and the motivation to keep doing other things. So I searched for leadership development programs, but I wanted something that I can hold close and dear to my heart and something that would be with me throughout my whole entire career. Because as you know, I was in the early career cohort. So I wanted to just find something that, would resonate deeply with me as a person. And I came across Black Women Leading. And I wasn't unfortunately able to join as fast as I would have liked, but some way, somehow, God be
You
the
made it
glory,
work.
I was able to, join in the next cohort and, found out so many new things about corporate life, self care, myself, and just how to, you know, kind of, climb that corporate ladder as quickly as I could think I can.
You can do it. You can do it. And
Yes.
as we talk about this season's theme of community care is critical. And the big part of Black Woman Leading, and you all have referenced it in your comments, is about how we need mirrors to kind of bring our full selves to whatever spaces we occupy. In another episode in the launch with Shayla Atkins, to the point about authenticity that I think Shaneka said, one of the clarity points that Shayla brought in that episode that was really powerful to me, because we've talked about in Black Woman Leading how like bringing your full self to work don't always deserve your full self. Rarely does it deserve your full self. But what Shayla really clarified that I thought was powerful, that authenticity is often seen as like you got to show everything and bring everything. She clarified it as more about having alignment. And so thinking about like when we talk about that come from, of being really clear on your internal stuff and then able to show that, she talked about that being authenticity. So whatever you want to show, you can show it, but it's still true to you, right? And so, in Black Woman Leading, we talk about how we need these mirrors to be able to bring our full selves to whatever spaces we occupy. And your mirrors are your people in your community that reflect back to you. Sometimes that reflection tells you what you need to change, but a lot of times that reflection really validates you as well. So if you think about yourself, who are some of your mirrors and how have they supported your career growth and development? And let's go to Jada, then we'll do Lekeshia, and then Shaneka.
One of the mirrors I can think off the top of my head would be my eldest sister. She has been a role model for me my entire life. She just recently, maybe about a year or two ago, graduated from UNC with her MBA. So kudos to her. And she has motivated me to go back to graduate school. So I'm actually preparing for that. I'm, studying up on my GMAT and planning to take that test in February. My goal is to get into NYU, but we will see. But, you know, that is a mirror that's just helping me strive, consulting me and giving me advice, helping me advocate for myself when it's not the easiest in the workplace. Especially since she's a little bit older than me, she's seen more stuff than I have in the corporate world. So, I am extremely grateful for her.
Love that.
Nice. For me, it is my children and my wife. So with the kids, I have 5 kids. I have 2 sets of twins and my oldest son who's 27. And seeing them at the older ones step out into their lives and become adults and everything, it really hones in on everything that I said I wanted to do, creating that generational wealth and creating a legacy and doing all those things. And now that I have grandchildren, I can kind of see the things coming to fruition, right? And thinking about the work that I do is the work that I'm doing impacting my grandchildren's lives, right? How am I making the workplace better for my grandchildren when they get to the workplace? Because we know we're not there yet. My kids are in the workplace. We still got work to do. And raising kids is difficult. Yeah, you never know. They don't come with manuals. You don't know if you're doing the right thing or not. But them reflecting back on me and kind of remembering their upbringing and my son getting involved in like diversity initiatives at his job. He sees me doing those things. So it's like, wow, I actually did do something here. I did something right with these kids. So that's reassurance for me that, I've done my duty as a mother. And then with my wife, she's just been my rock. Like she is my number one fan. I could be selling rocks and she would be like, how many more rocks we got to go find out there? What you need? She's going to support me. She is the smartest person I know and the most even keeled person I know. So my mood can go up and down and around in a circle and all in one day. And she's always there to ground me and be like, it's going to be okay. There's something to the other side of this. So I can, those are the people that I know that I can be my full authentic self with and not have to worry about being vulnerable and it coming back to bite me.
Yeah. What a beautiful full circle moment though of, like you said, seeing these things reflected back in your children and now having your grandchild. And I don't know if you all are watching this on YouTube or not, but Lekeshia is the finest grandmama I done seen. So you go, girl. You drinking your water and minding your business, okay?
Women leading, my self-care challenge was my skincare routine. I'm getting older and I can't keep being out in the sun without that sunblock. So when we did that 30-day challenge, mine was to get my routine for my face down, and wonders have happened. Like I started with the 30 days and it's now every day. I don't skip a day on that routine and my skin has just been amazing since.
Okay, well, I need the recipe, honey. Okay. Shaneka, tell us about your mirrors.
My mirrors. I feel like I have a lot of mirrors, y'all. So I would definitely say my husband and my sister as far as family goes. And then I have a couple of circles of girlfriends where there are 3 of us that are really close. And Lekeshia hit up on something that I talk about a lot. Like, I feel like I can be 1000% authentic with them and vulnerable, and it won't ever come back to bite me. And I think that's important, to have people in your life that you can be 100% transparent with. And my girlfriends and I, my sister, not my husband, but we talk about numbers like weight, perimenopause symptoms, like all these things, right? We talk salary, like things that people would say were taboo. But I feel like that's how we learn and we grow, right? Is by having those conversations with people where we don't feel like it's going to come back and bite us. Like, I feel like that as a Black community. That's why so many of us are so behind with money, because we were always told, don't talk about it. You don't, so it was always that taboo subject. Me and my friends talk about it. We talk about savings. We talk about investments. We talked about creating an investment club. So I feel like having those mirrors and people that hold you accountable, like my circles hold me accountable for things that I said I was going to do. Like, I went to grad school to get my master's in HR because my husband encouraged me. I already had a master's, but he's like, when you want to grow in your career in HR, you should go for it. And I was like, I don't know. He was like, just do it. And I did. And it was one of the best decisions, that I've made. So, just, again, having those people who are accountable, accountability partners, APs, we call each other, just to help us support and reach those goals personally and professionally. I feel like having a community of people that care for you and 100% have your best interest at heart is critical. And I forgot one other person that I gotta have, my therapist, right? And that's the one person who I know, has nothing but my best interest. There's nothing in it for her, right? And she'll listen to me and support me and help me and guide me. And that's something I talk about a lot in our community as well, is you don't need to have a tragedy happen to get a therapist. Like, they are a great mirror. Even when I'm down on myself and like, why did I do that? She helps me to really see the full circle moments. Like, well, let's look at what led to that. And I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. Because she really helps me to not be so hard on myself. Or when I need to be, yeah, girl, pull yourself together, So but I feel like, I got a lot of mirrors, but I think they all help
that
me.
for you, though.
They
I
all
love
help
that for you, because that's not everybody's story, right? That they have a lot of mirrors, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other side, because sometimes it gets to be a little dark side to this too. Now, we've seen it a consistent, and you all probably heard the conversations in your cohorts as well. The consistent exercise we have to do around our boundaries, right? And sometimes the boundaries are not that we're having a hard time holding them with others. Sometimes they're our own boundaries. We're having a hard time with violating our own boundaries. So, we have seen in our work that oftentimes Black women may confuse, not all, but many, may confuse being community minded with having blurred boundaries. That kind of being there and supporting and helping everyone is not mutually exclusive to having those clear boundaries. So when you think about your own journey, how have you navigated kind of setting, communicating, protecting your boundaries? Have you seen that has been areas that you clear challenges, clear triumphs? Just what's been your experience with the boundaries piece? And let's do Lekeshia, Jada, and then Shaneka.
Boundaries is always a difficult thing, especially when you have adult children. So at the beginning of this year, I created like a vision board, and it had like 4 buckets. So now when I think about something someone's asking of me, if it doesn't fit into one of those 4 buckets, which is the family, my business, fun, and my money, then it's a no, right? So if it's not going to advance one of those 4 things, then I have to say. And sometimes I say not no, but not right now. Because I think sometimes that's an easier way to let people down or to protect my own feelings about saying no to people. So it's a not right now. The boundaries with the children is always going to be on a sliding scale. And as I've set them, and, they come and I'm like, okay, but next time, but I still have a good feeling about that. And especially when it comes down to, money and all those things, I'm still of the school of thought. If I need it back, it's a no. I need to be able to freely give the money and not want it back. And if I can't do that, then it's a no. So, I guess just having those 4 buckets, which came down to values and what I needed. And if it doesn't fit in that, then I can't help you at this time.
I heard that. How did you arrive to that? Was that intentional exercise? Was it a cautionary exercise because you
Yeah.
got the burnout on the other side and you had to put into place? What was the journey there? Because I think those kind of practical things are really helpful for people, but I think sometimes people struggle with how do I get there, right? What was your story to getting there?
It was very intentional. I love my kids. I love them to death. And because of how close, I had my son when I was 16. So we kind
Hmm.
of grew up together. And
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of stuff together. And saying no, or because I felt like I put them in positions because of my decisions. It was
Yeah.
mom guilt was real, right?
Yeah.
Mom guilt was a real thing. But coming to terms with, like, I did a really good job raising these kids. He is a fine young man. The girls are doing well, they college and exploring lives. The mom guilt can stop now. I've done my job, and they don't need me the way I think that they need me.
Yeah.
It was kind of like proactively trying to be like, prevent them from doing things like, oh, well, I'll just pay for your car so you don't have to struggle through college, and things that I'm thinking I wish I had when I was younger. If I had this, maybe I wouldn't have had to struggle. So some of it was projecting, and some of it was guilt, and coming to the realization that no, you don't need to continue on that. They're fine without you. They're living their lives. They have a good life. You've
Yeah.
created a good life for them. You've done your job, and of course, I'm always going to be there for them if they need something. But to just be them living as if they're still under my household and I'm paying everybody's rent, car payments, insurance, like, it's time to cut them off.
Okay. It's time, but I mean, I think that's a powerful self-awareness
Mhm.
moment of understanding that there were two drivers, the projection and the guilt, both were counterproductive to your own growth and development, and having that awareness like really trigger you to shift and move in some different ways.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing. Shanika, what were you going to say on that? How have you kind of navigated the boundaries piece?
Yeah, boundaries, that's one of my words because I feel like, look, here's one of my phrases, y'all. No is a complete sentence. You don't need an explanation for the no. You don't need to make up nothing for why you're saying no. And you can love and support your family, your community, but I need to love and support myself first. And that's something I had to learn. I really struggled with that when I was younger. Like, I would generally lean in, particularly before I had a husband and I had kids. And I think people generalize you in that way, like, oh, she got time. So I struggled with that. I would generally lean in whenever there was a need, when anybody would ask me. I'm like, yep, I got you. But over the years, I had to let go of some of that. I had to let go of some of the organizations I was involved in just because I didn't have not only the physical time, but the brain space,
Yeah, the
right? To like
capacity.
manage everything.
Yeah,
Like, I can't manage everything. So I had to learn that no is a complete sentence and not feel bad about it. Like,
yeah,
and I had to learn a lot too about when people say, oh, you're great at doing that. Thank you. But that don't mean I got to do it. Somebody else can be great. Somebody else can be great. So I'm at a point in my life now where boundaries, my mental peace is more important for to me than what everyone else needs. I'm like, you can find somebody else to do it. Or like Lekeshia said, maybe it's a not right now, right?
yeah,
Or I need to do it in this way.
yeah,
No, I can't drop everything I'm doing and come over there and do that right now. But tomorrow, I can do that from my house or whatever.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
really making sure, and people know, like, even, in different spaces when they say, oh, let's meet at 8 o'clock. Shanika's not meeting anybody at 8 o'clock. Like, nobody. Because I'm not in the right break. Like, you're not going to get the best version of me at 8 p.m. And during my work day at 4 p.m. You're just not getting the best version of me. I've
yeah,
been up since 5 a.m. If you want to meet with me at 4 p.m., we have a problem. It's not going to be
yeah.
the person you think is going to show up.
You like
Because
get
in
somebody
the line
else
of
to
work
do
I'm in,
it.
I talk all day. So I'm like, yeah, 4 o'clock? No, that's not a meeting time I'm going to do. And I don't feel bad about that. People will ask, and I'm like, no, but
Yeah,
let me give you some alternatives. Because that's just not going to work. So I
yeah,
think that's okay, though. I think as women, particularly as caregivers, like, we're sometimes we put this on ourselves. Like, we feel like we have to always show up. We have to do the thing. No, we don't. It's okay if someone else does it. Maybe next
yeah,
time you do it. But this time, if you're not feeling up to it mentally, physically, it's okay. And I
yeah.
think that's something we all have to learn. It comes with experience, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? The kind of model that I take for myself, because you mentioned it that sometimes we're saying yes because we feel bad when we say no and we don't want to feel that way. But I've kind of taken the same approach I take to with parenting my children. I have a 15-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, and sometimes you tell them no, or they're disciplined in a way and it hurts their feelings, but guess what? They get over it and they're okay. And so that's how I kind of feel like this might even hurt my feelings, but I'm going to get over it because
Gonna get
the
over it.
wisdom says that I probably shouldn't do this, or that I am at my capacity, that kind of thing. So I guess it's kind of parenting yourself
There you
in that
go. I like
way.
that.
Jada, what about you? What has the boundaries journey been like for you, even as you're kind of navigating community?
Yeah, I thank Shaneka and Lekeshia for sharing their perspectives. It's interesting just to see how other people think and where they're at with their boundaries. Me, myself, I didn't, disclose all of my titles in the beginning of the episode, but, I'm an HR and operations manager. I'm a senior HR manager for another organization. And then on top of that, I'm also a staff and production manager for another organization. And then I'm also a very active volunteer for, a nonprofit organization here in Philadelphia. And there's also, keeping up with the friend group and keeping up with my man and keeping up with
Yes.
myself. So boundaries is a little bit blurred for me, but what I think works in my lifestyle and where I'm at in my career is delegation. Delegation, delegation, delegation. I might not be able to do it, but the person under me, my assistant, my other manager will be great to support you on this. And then also being transparent. There's days or weeks where I'm working 6 days a week from, 6 o'clock in the morning to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And I just think that I'm in that type of lifestyle and that mindset right now because I've worked really hard to pay off my undergrad in 4 years. Couldn't have done that with working one job in this economy.
Yeah.
So, but just bringing back the human in your everyday and saying, I'm not the superwoman. I can't do everything. So I'm going to be transparent and let you know.
Yeah.
I can't do it today. I can't do it right now, but maybe tomorrow, maybe next week we can get through this, or, we can find someone else to help you out.
Yeah. And I think to your point, Jada, like, and kudos to you for activating in the season in your life where you had the capacity to pay off your debt. I mean,
Yes.
I understand it. I really do understand it. And I think part of the boundaries exercise too is reflecting on what is the extent of my of my capacity, and how can I sustain this, right? And so if you've assessed for a short period of time, I can drive this hard to pay off this debt, and then I'll pay out. I can like relax later. Then okay, I can flow with you, but I still want you to weave in some self-care strategies in there. But then also assessing how long can we do that, and what are the different elements that we might need to assess around that
Yes.
too. Yeah.
It's funny because growing up, my dad had this saying that he would drill in us to me and my siblings. You have to do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do later in life. And that's just, that stuck with me. But I also have a new saying for him, and I'm trying to get him to just latch on to that new saying that I have. It's, you have to go through the mud to get to the beach.
Go through the mud to get to the beach.
Yes.
Okay,
Everyone
look, I
loves the
just want
beach,
to go
right?
to the beach.
I love that, Jada. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about kind of like our communities that we can really lean into, be authentic, but let's take it to the workplace and think about what have been some of the tips. Let's say somebody's listening and they want to build their network, and I'll clarify here, because your network, your professional network may not be your community, right? Your community, though, might be elements of your professional network for sure, right? And so if we think about strategically being able to build those relationships, networks in our professional space, what are some of the things you've been able to put into place to help you build community, networks, relationships in the professional space as well? Let's go to Shaneka and then Jada and then Lekeshia.
That's a great question, Laura. I I think my advice is a little off kilter in a way because I know everyone can't do this or they need to learn to do this, but I show up as me. You've heard me use the word authentic already, and that's
Yeah.
I don't know how to show up any other way. Like I show up as my authentic self, and I speak plainly. I'm not very, it ain't all these words that people don't understand. Like I use regular old words. I speak very plainly. I show up as myself, and people who are attracted to my energy, they kind of come along for the ride, right?
Yeah.
And you have to show up knowing that every person you may connect with, whether it's at work or at a networking event or whatever, they're not going to be your person. And many times I can tell, immediately when I start talking to people, I'm like, yeah, our energies don't match. This ain't gonna be it. Have a nice day now. And it's the same at work. Like you should always be respectful, work with one another respectfully, but every work relationship you're going to have is not going to be friendly. And
Yeah.
that's okay. And one of my challenges, was keeping up with all my connections because I have a lot of them. So that was one of my things, even when I joined Black Women Leading, is to say, I'm great at networking. Like I can show up in a room, find someone, start talking to them. We can find commonalities. We can, scan QR codes, and then they may not hear from me again, right? That was my thing when I came to Black Women Leading in January. Like I need to get better with the follow up. And so I've done that. I recently did that a handful of months ago, just with a colleague who is no longer my colleague. And I was like, let me reach out to her today. And I found out she was no longer working, and I was able to connect her with someone who was looking for somebody. And guess what? She got a job. I was like, look at that. And she literally just randomly came across my mind, and I reached out to her. And when she shared that with me, I was like, I know exactly who to connect you with. And a month and a half later, she got a job. So I'm like, see, this is what happens, right? When you reach out to folks, use those connections. I am so happy for her. It really made my heart glad. And I was like, and not that she wouldn't have gotten a job without me, but she might not have gotten that one because she wasn't connected to that other person. So I'm like, you just don't know the things you can do, the power you have as a person and as a connector. And so, yeah, I feel like that's the thing. Like, show up in rooms and don't be afraid to take up space. Like, don't come in and it's like, well, I don't know anybody, and you don't say anything. Find somebody else and just start talking. I promise you'll find a commonality. Because if you're in the same room, generally either you work in the same area, like there's something already that's a commonality, and go from there. So yeah, I think but again, showing up authentically, and I know that's hard depending on what space you're in. That's hard for us as Black women sometimes. But again, I think that's come for me just honestly with experience, just saying, you know what, this is it. Like they got to take me as I am because I don't know how to be any other way. So yeah.
And then I'm also hearing too, like finding those opportunities to build in some type of nurture strategies too, which is the language we use in Black Women Leading, that you making all these connections, but what ways are we able to optimize those relationships? And not only to be on the receiving end, but in your case, to be a giver too, because then that becomes a reciprocal. You never know. You might need to call her for something in the future, and that this goodwill has been established. I love that. Jada, what about you? How have you navigated in the professional space, really building your network and building those relationships?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of what Shaneka said, showing up as yourself. People love authentic people. People love seeing others express genuinity. Even if you're weird or quirky or a little bit, have dry humor or something, be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. Show up with your plain face. Be strategic. Have a plan. I'm, hoping to get my MBA in strategic planning, but attending those events, joining groups that, resonate with what you see your career going to. And don't be afraid to use social media, reach out to people on LinkedIn, DM people, interact with their posts, comment, all of that. And then also, especially if you're on the side in person, have those talking points or just set that expectation. Like, I want to at least talk to one person this event or two person this other event. And then, like I said before, be strategic, have that plan, have that expectation or that drafted email for that follow up. That's always easier for me when, I prepare myself for an event, set that expectation, and then have that draft of a follow up in your draft box. So you're already ready to go the next day or 2 days after that event to just send that over to them.
That's good. And that's how we met, Jada, on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That's how we met on LinkedIn. In the DMs on
Yes.
LinkedIn. And look at us now. Lekeshia, what's kind of been some of your strategies you've implemented on a relationship in the professional space?
Yeah, so I hear y'all saying it goes down in the DMs. However, for me, I feel like I'm a value add to any space that I'm in, right? And I take that with me. And having a vision, right? You have to know what you want in order to create your board of directors and the people that are going to help you to get what you want. And that's why, again, Black Women Leading was so timely for me, because one of the things we talked about was my business and then a doctorate. I am student loan free and I wanted to stay that way.
Yeah.
So I needed a way to get into this doctorate program for free 99. And I did that by making connections, right? So I'm a graduate teaching assistant at Austin Peay State University, which in turn gives me my PhD for free, my doctorate in education, actually, which is kind of my platform. I believe education is the key and the answer to all the problems that we have. So strategically creating those that board of directors. So now I have the graduate teacher, the professor, and that he's on my board of directors. Laura, she's on my board of directors. People who don't even know me are on my board of directors because they're in my plan for me to reach where I want to go. So collecting those people and having those reciprocal relationships again too. Like it's not just you're always got your hand out. I think that's where some people get networking wrong. They wait till they have a situation where they need someone and then they're ready to reach out, or they're looking for someone, or they're going to start networking. Big in the community, get volunteer my time. I'm on the library board. I'm the education committee chair for our local chapter, the NAACP, and all of those connections and meetings and things. I'm collecting cards and putting them in and putting notes by who they are. And if something comes up, like you said, you had a friend who was like, oh, she doesn't have a job. I'm like, I know somebody who's looking for this, and you're connecting people. So you're first of mind when something comes up. They're like, Lekeshia probably would be great for this. And you get, I call first rights to refuse. They're calling you first. So you get those first rights to refuse something or to accept. And it helps in your networking.
Yeah, I love that too, that you're coming from a place of service in a lot of these areas too. And of course, there's the balance with the boundaries, as you all talked about, but that in a giving space, you also are setting yourself up to kind of receive in these relationships. Now, am I understanding this right? Is this new that you are in the PhD program?
Yes. So this is actually Monday. So I started summer.
Wait a minute. I didn't know this.
So on my goal plan, remember, I wanted to start a doctorate program, but I couldn't find a fit program. And I was kind of weary of, APA, getting back into APA style and everything. And that was one of the goals of my plan, was to find a way to get classes or something that would help me out with APA. So I landed in journals as my graduate teaching position, which means I'm putting them in APA style. I'm getting that technical skill. I'm building that, and I'm getting to write and read. So I will be published, and my dissertation is going to be in the repeal of affirmative action in college admissions and how that affects women in STEM. So I'm excited to delve into all of that and to really get some answers on how this is going to affect us as a nation and the world, actually, not just the nation that this affects, even though it's a U.S. policy. The world is going to be affected by this. So yeah, all kinds of things happened to me. Like the light had come on over here. Okay.
So let me just start practicing this Dr. Lekeshia now. Let me just start practicing. But you all, let me just tell the folks that's listening, because I get goosebumps when y'all start telling me about y'all leadership development plans coming to life. In all of our programs, our participants create a personal development plan around their goals as a leader and the things that they want to do. They're getting support from the community, but also from the coach. So you're hearing the real manifestation of these plans that they developed in Black Woman Leading coming to life. And that just, y'all don't even understand how that lights me up, that y'all not only created this vision for yourself, but you're doing it. You are acting out those action items and making that thing come to life. That is amazing. And I mean, it's the intentionality for me. Like the thing you scared of, APA, you go on and get you a job in there.
It's hard for us to admit that we lack, right? Because I don't
Yes.
want anybody to know that I want to be a published author. I want to be published in journals. I want to pursue a doctorate, but that APA is not my strong suit, right? I don't want anybody to know this. And here I am telling the world now because it is a weakness and we have to work on the things that scare us in order to propel forward. Because I could have let that hold me back from getting a free doctorate. Come on now. Free doctorate.
Come on now. Free. Come on.
In her doctorate program. So we're just like, Dr. Hicks is loaded with apostrophe there. It was two of us, two doctors, Black women. And we just killing the game here, just trying to be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. You better. Okay. Okay. So we've been talking about, you all have been given some elements of kind of like your experience in the Black Woman Leading programs. I'd like to just ask this, and then we'll start going to some of our kind of wrap up questions that align with our season themes. But is there a particular insight or aha moment you had while in the program, either, about your growth, about your vision, about your journey? I always love to hear the light bulb moments that people have. Any particular insights that came to you when you were going through the program?
I had a few. There were so many. I can't even count all of them, Laura, but I remember we were having conversation about self-care, and I found that I get energy from people. Like we were talking about the different buckets and that social self-care.
Yes.
And one of the things I wanted to work on personally was having more time to spend with the people that were important to me and like making space for that. Like I make space for work. So it's like making time, for my son and my husband and my friend groups in a more intentional way was really important to me. So that was a light bulb moment to see like those different buckets of self-care, because I had never thought about it in that term. But the other light bulb, I would say the biggest light bulb, came through Black Women Leading Live. And we were at our table having a conversation about what we do for a living versus our passions, and what would we do if we didn't, even if we didn't get paid, what would we love to do? And that's what led me to pursue being a coach. And just really thinking about connecting with people. And I love talking to people. I talk to people all day. But when you really look at lots of the problems in the workplace, like I got my HR hat on now, y'all. But a lot of it is how we as people don't connect to the work that we do. And how we're not cogs in a wheel, right? Like we don't leave our personal life on a shelf when we come to work. So learning how to integrate those things, how to trust our colleagues to an extent, right? How to show up authentically, and how to be our authentic selves at work, speaking up when we need help, share all those kind of things. Like that was the driver. And I was like, man, how do I do this? What do I do with this? And just was having conversations at the table, and people were like, you would be great with that. And then the next day I went to the table with my cohort. They were at a table and we were having conversation. They were like, oh, that's exactly you. And they've been with me for a few months at this point. So they're like, yes, you can do that. You can coach. They can see me doing individuals and groups and podcasts and all the things. And I was like, wow, so again, another mirror of other people saying, based on what we know from you and how we've interacted with you, that would be amazing for you. And I'm like, bam, well, there it is. Right. And things I had never even thought about before. So when we talk about ahas and light bulbs, and that's why I tell you, Laura, y'all can't ever get rid of me.
Never.
No matter what iteration of Black Women Leading I'm in, whether it's in a book club or I signed up for the alumni group, being with that group, and some of those folks are new to me. It's like, and Lekeshia and I were at the table. You remember, Lekeshia, you were telling us about your book, and I was like, I'm gonna post this on LinkedIn. We got a writer, y'all. So it's like the fact that we we celebrate one another, lift each other up, and really brainstorm in ways that are so meaningful. So yeah, I'm
I
here for
love
life. No matter what you're doing, I'm right
We
here.
go together. We go together,
We go
girl.
together.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it, and it's important, right, to have those mirrors to reaffirm and validate. And you all, Black Woman Leading Live is our in person conference and retreat we do every year. That's what Shaneka's referring to.
Mhm.
Okay, Lekeshia, let's go to you. Did you have any light bulb or aha moments during your time in the program?
I did. Creating the plan. It was the first time in my life that I had really sat down and really focused on creating something that was for me and about me.
Yeah.
I spent my life kind of doing what I thought everybody wanted me to do in order to achieve kind of this greatness and just to be everything that I wasn't going to be, a statistic and all of these things. And I'm in a season in my life where I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, right? So what is it that I wanted to do? So it allowed me to get really clear on what would bring me joy, what I wanted in my life, what I did not want in my life. And I'm looking at it and I'm checking things off, like getting in the program. I got 2 A's in the summer, despite all the travel that I had. So I was nervous, going to a brick and mortar school for the first time. And what that would feel like, did I still have it? And what could I get A's as a 40-year-old, and I can, I'm doing all the things and I have the capacity because I've cut out the things that I don't want to do. And I make time for the things that I do want to do. Now this walking pad behind me, we gonna get together one day. It's gonna come down and I'm gonna be walking on it with my desk. That's my next goal, was to add that in there. We working on it, and to be okay with I'm working on it, because there are things from the plan that I am doing. I think a lot of the times we take on too much too fast, and that's when things break down. So I really learned to slow down, figure out what it is that I want. I got plenty of time to get there. There's no rush, and I can do all the things.
And
I
I
have
hope
a
you don't.
tip for you, Lekeshia, about
Oh,
this walking pad, because I have one too. The best time to use it is when you're in a meeting and you don't have to take notes, because it's hard to type and walk, and then you'll be like, nope, I'm discouraged. I'm done with this pad. So when you're in meetings where you can just listen, just walk, and you won't even know. You Next thing you know, you walk for a full hour. So yeah.
no, I just have to pick on Lakeisha for a minute. And I hope she don't. I hope you be okay with this. When we do these leadership development plans in the program, we have an actual work session that we come together, so that there's this accountability time and everybody are kind of working. The coaches are in breakouts if people need help. And I remember Lakeisha being in that breakout room, honey. She was stressed about that plan. That plan was that plan was stressing her out. I said, Lord, are we stressing the woman out? But she felt the anxiety around it and pushed through it and documented that thing for herself. And look at her now, like
Good job.
literally manifesting and doing those things that were in that plan. But I remember you being in that breakout room, like, now how I'm supposed to do this?
Right.
And you doing it.
That
Well,
could be hard at the beginning, Laura. I think a lot of us was like that. Like, this a lot. What we got to think about now?
Yes, yes, yeah. We stretch them, y'all. We stretch them, but they up to the
Yes.
challenge.
It
Jada,
was.
what about you? What any light bulb moments you had? And Jada is still engaged in our mentoring program now. So the early
Nice.
career program is the core program, but now she is matched to one of our mentors and going through that experience. But any light bulb or aha moments for you in the program?
Yes, the first aha moment during my experience in the program was doing and getting like the completed version of the disc analysis. Starting off early career, graduated at the height of COVID, was just not sure on where direction my career was going, and wasn't as confident as I wanted to be freshly out of school. So, I knew my strengths, I knew my work styles, I knew what motivated me, but I wasn't sure how to put that in words or how to communicate that to my manager. So getting that back and reading it through, it read me like a book, the back of my hand, like it just knew every little detail about me. And I'm like, this is what I need. And I have used that, especially like the cheat sheet version of the disc analysis. I've used that to send that to hiring managers. I've used that during performance evaluation conversations. It has been the biggest tool I
That's
have ever
great.
received yet in my career. And I was
That's
just
great.
extremely grateful for that. Like, oh, now I know myself in words.
I love that. Yes, that disc assessment will give you some insights, right? I love that you've been able to use that so practically. All right, I could talk to y'all all day, but let's bring this to a close. I'm gonna do just one final question on our season's theme, as we've been talking about, is community care is critical, and we've talked about all manner of how you leaned into community, have you supported, how people have supported you. But I think this is a fun one to end on. So, what is your care superpower? What do you offer to your community that creates a soft space for other people to land? What would those people in your support network say? You know, Lekeshia does this,
Mhm.
Shaneka does this, Jada offers this. What's your care superpower? And we'll end on that note.
So I think for me, it's the possibility of having it all. Like I feel like we think we can't. There's sacrifices that have to be made, but being able to see it in me that you can have it all,
Yeah,
I think I give that sense of ease. Like, oh, I can do this. I can
yeah,
do this. You look
I
like me
love
and you're
it.
doing this. So yes,
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. What do they say?
Right.
Representation matters, right?
yes,
Mhm.
100%.
Shanika,
Yeah.
what you got? What's your care superpower?
I would say mine is being able to stay calm and like manage through situations, like, and be collaborative with people. Like, my mantra is everything can be fixed. Like, there's nothing that's, like, everything can be fixed in some shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah,
My demeanor is usually calm, and I feel like that is my superpower, and it lends to my ability to be persuasive, gain consensus, I have to say, and just be collaborative. So I would say definitely my calm demeanor is my superpower.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And Jada, what about you? What's your care superpower?
My care superpower would be that problem solver or that executor. I manage 45 people in one organization, 450 people in another organization, and about five other in a different. I am the go to person where there's a problem that cannot be solved, and also having the power to emphasize and understand each and every individual problem.
Yeah,
In the corporate world, it's hard to get people to understand you and what problem you're experiencing. And I can understand almost anything.
yeah, yeah. So you can hear it, translate that thing, and say,
Mhm.
okay, here's what we got to do.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so proud of all y'all. I'm so happy y'all are part of the community. Excited to still be supporting and watching y'all and helping in whatever way that we can support you all as you continue to grow. Thank you for sharing your insights and your wisdom with our listeners. Let's just do a quick round and say, how can people connect with you beyond the podcast? And if you have anything special going on that you like to share, we could just go across Lekeshia, Shaneka, and Jada. Where can people find you and anything you want to share that you have going on?
I hang out mostly, I guess, on LinkedIn and my full government name, Lekeshia Angelique Hicks, because my business name is Lekeshia Angelique Consulting. And coming soon, I'm super excited to launch our allyship through sponsorship and mentorship program, where we're going to try to get into these organizations and create sponsorship and mentorship programs so that we can get the visibility that we need. ERGs, hit me up. We're going to create this space together. Yeah, and Instagram on Lekeshia_Angelique.
I love it. And then the book, you
And
got
my
to
book,
get our book.
The
Go to our website.
Receipts and
Yes.
Revelations, can be purchased on barnesandnobles.com, as well as on my website, LekeshiaAngelique.com. And Receipts and Revelations is your workplace companion to getting that raise or filing that complaint. Whatever you need is to there to help you with that documentation. Got all the rules in there and quick reference. And yes, purchase Barnes and Noble or my website.
Yes, and her website link will be in the show notes. Shaneka, how can people connect with you and anything special you got going on?
I hang out on LinkedIn a lot as well. So linkedin.com/Shaneka, or just look up Shaneka L. Stanley. We talked about sliding in those LinkedIn DMs. So go ahead. I got you. I got you. And nothing much else going on. I do start my coaching program next week. So I'm excited about that, y'all.
Yay.
And at the end, I will be a certified life coach and an organizational development coach. So I am
Yes.
super excited about this dual program I got going on. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to be your coach extraordinaire. And then y'all can find me for
Yes,
that kind of
ma'am.
good stuff. Yes.
Yes, you will. Yes, you
Yeah.
will. And Jada, how can people connect with you and anything special you have going on?
Yes, same as the other two ladies. LinkedIn. My username is Jada Hamm. Very easy to find. If you're in the Philadelphia area, September 14th, come check us out, Philly Black Wine Fest at the UPenn Museum. If you're also in Philly during the fall season, come check us out at Halloween Nights at Eastern State Penitentiary, and hope to see you all.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll put everyone's links in the show notes so you can connect with them on LinkedIn and see what they have going on. Dynamic leaders that you want to be connected with for sure. If you found this information, this conversation useful today, please share it with a friend. We're on all major podcast platforms, and you can also listen from our website, blackwomanleading.com. We would love it if you like, favorite, rate, review, comment, share all the things to help us amplify this work that we're doing to support Black women leaders. You can connect with Black Woman Leading on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Black Woman Leading. You can connect with me personally at Laura E. Knights on all platforms. And if you're interested in learning about our corporate services, where we work with organizations to create leadership development plans for their employee, leadership development programs for their employee, you can visit our website at knightsconsultingroup.com. We love to connect with you in any of these ways. And until next time, be well.